ready, fucker.
Shut up and sit down.
Hi, how's your day going so far? Ours is going pretty good because we're here and we have each other. And I'm not sick, so fuck you guys. No, I don't mean that. I love you.
Horribly. Me and Kaylee are nasally. We're sick. We're coughing. And we're dying.
So in case you mistook this for like Dr. Oz's flu remedy hour, this is not it.
No.
This is Flesh Lemon. The podcast you definitely did not
Ask for.
at
all.
You did not put your lunch money in an envelope and send it away for X-ray specs and came back with this podcast in an envelope, like a cassette that you plug in and you're like, what the fuck is this? Maybe this is from that weird, like, Jigsaw dude who's like, you want to play a game? But it's just us going, you want to hear a podcast? So I'm Cedar.
Hi, Cedar.
I'm your
Friendly neighborhood witch.
Yeah.
Huh.
Friendly,
Friendly.
frumpy neighborhood witch. To my left is the I couldn't come up with a describing word.
I don't think anything can describe. I don't think any words can describe me right now.
I can't tell if you have leftover eyeliner or if your eyes are just purple naturally right now because you're sick.
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I have leftover eyeliner because I did the tight line thing, which is always a mistake, and then I realized I'm not a makeup remover, so I had to remove my face of makeup with a hand lotion last night. Kaylee! What? You don't remove makeup with hand lotion? Well, it fucking works, so get off my dick.
Okay, and to my right is the always lovely and cat hair covered Void.
I love my cats.
She walked into her house today because I went to pick her up and just handed me a cat. Like, here you go.
That's
and I was
amazing.
Like,
That's Can you does that just how you greet everybody? Just
it
like,
is.
Hello. Have my cat.
Here's my precious son.
It's like, hey, you want to see a cat? He's beautiful, and he was modeling for me this morning, and I was taking pictures of him, and he's gorgeous. I love Mochi. I couldn't find my other son, though. He was gallivanting, probably climbing trees.
So every once in a while, we get together, we summon demons, we talk about bad dreams,
yeah.
we generally bring some weird shit to the table, and we discuss, and the person with the weirdest shit wins, and thus, which weirdo wins.
No.
Can we do that all together? That'd be so cool.
Which
weirdo wins! Pew, 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 pew! I really want like a Wheel of Fortune song.
What was it? Wheel of mucus. Oh, gross. I'm really glad you knew what I was talking about. I have no idea. This is Let me guess. Friends. Rick and Morty. Nope. No.
I don't even remember what that's from.
It's from Whose Line Is It Anyway? It was unpopular game show ideas and called Rockery the Wheel of Mucus. That's such a good show. Right? Oh, fuck. I love that show.
Alright, so for people who don't know, I'm a native person. That sounded so wrong. I'm Aboriginal. I'm a little bit Aboriginal, but it's the only part of my heritage that I kind of enjoy. So I decided to do some research, and I found a fucking podcast that's wonderful. It's called Pleasing Terrors.
Oh.
And go give it a listen. The episode that inspired this creepy story is called Hungry Spirits. It's fucking golden. And some of the first-hand accounts from what I'm about to tell you came from them through their source notes. So go look up Pleasing Terrors because it's fucking awesome. Shameless plug. So I'm gonna do the Wendigo. Yeah, and not the weird dumb one from Supernatural, because fuck that show. You wasted 2 years of my life on you, Supernatural. Fuck. Stop spitting out seasons.
You didn't even see, like, the Wendigo either. Yeah, I know. That really pissed me off. I really wanted to see it. Yeah. I was like, show me spooky. Show me spooky.
Let's get spooked. So, in happy Halloweeny, everybody. Because we're all Halloweeners.
Yeah, Halloween is on Tuesday. Woo! But by the time this episode comes out, it'll probably be close to Christmas.
Christmas is the anti-Halloween. Like, think about it. Halloween is like, put on an outfit, pretend to be someone else, scare the shit out of children, eat candy. The only thing Christmas and Halloween have in common is the sweets. But Christmas sweets are either, like, really decadent, and then you end up feeling sick, and you're like, I don't know why I just ate 6 pieces of pie and a tart, but I guess I did.
That's probably why you feel sick, is because you ate 6 pieces of pie and a tart.
Okay, she can do whatever the hell she wants, alright?
But
Live
then,
your
like,
dreams, girl.
For some reason during Halloween, I'm like, I feel sick, but that's because I literally ate 2 pounds of tiny chocolate bars, and I'm proud of myself.
Anyway, continue on.
So the Wendigo is a cryptid from the Great Lakes area of Canada and the United States. So for those of you who don't know, it's like, I guess, Ontario-ish? Is that right? Yes. I don't even know our own geography.
That's fine, nobody does.
So it's from Algonquin folklore, which is, that's where it kind of originated. And, yeah, the Algonquins are from that area. They're chill people. They've got some great, creepy stories. So the Wendigo can appear in 2 forms. The first form is described below on my sheet of paper by a guy named Basil Johnson, who's an Ojibwe teacher and scholar from Ontario.
Nice.
So I'm gonna read some shit. The Wendigo was gaunt to the point of emaciation. Its decayed skin pulled tightly over its bones, with its bones pushing out against its skin, its complexion the ash gray of death, and its eyes pushed back deep into their sockets. The Wendigo looked like a gaunt skeleton recently disinterred from the grave. What lips it had were tattered and bloody, unclean and suffering from separations of the flesh. The Wendigo gave off a strange and eerie odor of decay and decomposition, of death and corruption.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Is that you?
Yeah, you just described that. Like, no shit. Like, the first, you're just, like, gaunt to the point of emaciation. Desiccated skin pulled tightly over its bones, with his bones pushing out against his skin, his complexion ash gray of death and eyes. I'm just like, fuck, that's me. Like, I'm, like, looking at my arms as you're saying this. I'm just like,
So that's kind of the one form of the Wendigo, which is as, like, I guess, essentially creature form. If you want a visual representation, look up the Wendigo from Hannibal, which is the thing that, like, Will Graham sees when he hallucinates. So now I've got another thing I'm going to read to you, which is a lot of this stuff you could actually find in, like, they've recorded cases of Wendigos, which is mind-blowing, but it's mostly from, like, early settlement days of Canada where, like, fur trapping was really huge because everybody wrote everything down in journals. So there's actually, like, stuff you can go find. So here's the thing. In 1896, a man traveling through the woods near Trout Lake, near northern Alberta, reported a strange vision of a creature. The encounter apparently drove him mad. He and his fellow villagers believed that he'd been possessed by a Wendigo, a malevolent spirit that afflicts its victims with an insatiable hunger for human flesh. As his condition worsened, the man's neighbors locked him in a cabin. One eyewitness, a fur trader from Scotland, said that the man hardly resembled a human being at one point. Frightened villagers eventually executed him, buried him, and piled logs on his grave to make sure he wouldn't come back to life.
Oh my god.
jeez.
As he had vowed to do when they killed him.
Nice.
Unless a priest came to the village within 3 days, he said he was going to come back to life. Strangely enough, a priest did arrive, apparently the first in that area, and found all of the villagers huddled in a shack, fearing for their lives. Ooh. So I should have said this in the beginning, but the Wendigo is, like, I guess, in folklore logic, it's the explanation that native peoples have for when whole villages starve to death. Oh. So, like, and for the cannibalism of people during, like, winters when there's no food and they start to kill and eat each other, they're like, you've been possessed by the Wendigo.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah. Like, so, the second form is a person possessed by the spirit. The spirit takes complete control over the human, leaving them unable to satisfy an appetite for human flesh. This is called Wendigo psychosis. It's an actual thing. There hasn't been any known cases past, like, the early 1900s, but there are a few recorded cases. So in 1661, a Jesuit priest recorded his experience at a Hudson's Bay outpost. He and his men were supposed to be met by native guides at the outpost at the end of the winter season, so they could guide them into the wilderness, and these fucking assholes could bring Christianity to perfectly normal people. Fuck those guys.
Wow.
When the priests arrived at the outpost, the Hudson's Bay men at the outpost were like, your native guides aren't gonna show up. And the priests were like, why? And this is what one of the priests wrote down in his journal. They had met their deaths the previous winter in a very strange manner. Those poor men, according to the report given to us, were seized with an ailment unknown to us, but not very unusual among the people we were seeking. They were afflicted with neither lunacy, hypochondria, or frenzy, but they have a condition of all of these species of disease. which affects their imaginations and causes them a more than canine hunger. This makes them so ravenous for human flesh that they pounce upon women and children and even upon men. Like veritable werewolves, they devour them voraciously without being able to appease or gut their appetite. After ever seeking fresh prey, and the more greedily the more they eat, this ailment attacked our deputies, and as death is the sole remedy among these simple people for checking such acts of murder, they were slain in order to stay the course of their madness. So, the more famous account of Wendigo psychosis involved a trapper in 1878 by the name of Swift Runner, which I assume is the English translation of his native name. He arrived back at the Hudson's Bay outpost after a long cold winter without his family, and upon being questioned, he said that his family died during the winter and he buried them at their winter home about 25 miles away. Accompanied by a few men, Swift Runner was escorted back to the camp, and the men uncovered Swift Runner's son's remains perfectly buried and intact. But as they examined the site, they found more graves, the graves of Swift Runner's wife, his mother-in-law, and their 5 remaining children. But these weren't perfect graves. Their bones were scattered and buried in random holes around the campsite. Most of their bones are actually broken.
Oh.
He confessed to eating his family even though the outpost was a short trek away and had emergency food supplies. He claimed that the Wendigo spirit had entered him and he started to hear its thoughts, and its thoughts began to drown out his own until all he heard was the monster.
Spooky.
He was hung in Fort Saskatchewan.
So could that just be more like schizophrenia?
Yeah, they think it's like a combination of like the hallucinations you get when you lack, when you haven't been eating properly.
Oh, yeah.
On top of like the frigid weather breaks you down mentally. So they think that his son died of starvation and that's why he was buried. And then because his son died, he started going crazy and he ate the rest of the family. But like the thing that made the guys at the outpost be like, we should go back and check and see if your family's okay, is because he showed up saying that his family starved, but he wasn't emaciated. So they were like, how are you eating? And they all died.
I feel like my family will starve, but like you're like chubby, you're just like, my family starved. It's like things aren't adding up here, buddy.
Like, I'm sorry, Swift Runner, but this shit does not check out.
No.
So lastly, the Wendigo is also described as a water spirit.
Cool.
A creature that walks on the wind and whispers in the ear of the hungry.
Ooh, that's cool. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Damn. Who walks on the wind and whispers into the
Ears of the
hungry?
Yeah. Tinder profile.
That's my Tinder profile. I walk on the wind.
cheeseburger?
Yeah, I walk on the wind and whisper in the ears of the hungry and be like, fucking swipe left, bitch.
I'm just imagining the Wendigo being like, ooh, look at them thighs.
Wait, is it swipe left or swipe?
It's swipe right if you accept somebody?
Oh, it's in the,
Swipe?
I don't know.
I don't know.
So in one case, in a village of settlers near Hudson Bay Outpost. All of this happens near Hudson's Bay Outpost because they had the best record keeping apparently back then.
Every time you say Hudson's Bay, I picture, like, the Hudson's Bay at
Like
the mall.
the bay,
and
yeah,
I'm just, like, everybody's, like, at the Hudson's Bay being like, oh, like, in modern times at the mall.
This was just so you guys know, this was the Hudson's Bay before it was a mall.
Before it was a department store of overpriced things.
So overpriced.
Of overpriced sweatshop produced items.
Yeah.
Fuck those guys. Okay, so in one case, in a village of settlers near a Hudson's Bay outpost, a trader watched a girl from across a lake, which is creepy, first of all. Apparently the girl was staring into the water and screaming and wailing.
Oh, that just sounds like my Diplo Saturday.
Yeah.
So she ran back to her family's cabin, returning with her mother, and she screamed and pointed at the water, but her mother saw nothing.
Yeah, so like my typical Saturdays.
The girl saw a woman in the shallows of the lake. She was naked and had long black hair and was dripping with water, and she was calling to the girl, beckoning with a long bony finger.
Oh no, sorry. That's me on Saturdays.
Months later, a boy skating on the lake fell through, and against all attempts to save him, he drowned. When the men from the village were finally able to go out onto the lake and recover his body, one of them said, "I've never seen a man drown like that. We shined a light on the ice and found his head just a little over from where he fell in. It was like he was just standing there."
Oh.
So it's like he fell in, but didn't... like
Just kind of like bloop.
He drowned, like, a foot away from where the hole was. Like, he could have kept his head above the water, but he didn't.
Oh, that's weird.
And when things happened in this village, the girl who saw the woman in the lake said the boy fell in the same spot she saw the creature.
Oh, she just like dragged him down.
Just holding him by the ankles, being like,
Oh my god.
so that is the Wendigo.
That's amazing.
You're welcome.
That was good.
Yeah.
Wendigo.
Alright, who goes next? You get a pick. Who goes next?
Who goes next? You decide.
Lloyd.
Alright.
Okay.
Bring it home, or bring it almost home. Kaylee will bring it home.
So I did mine on really scary children's games.
Nice!
That kids play at sleepovers and stuff.
Disclaimer right now. If any of you touch a Ouija board, I'm gonna punch you.
Oh, I know.
And then I'm gonna throw you down a well.
At Target, when I went to Bellingham, there was a Stranger Things themed Ouija board.
Okay, you can get that, but you can't play with it.
I know.
I'm not gonna lie, every time I go to a thrift store, I look for a Ouija board.
Don't get them from thrift stores.
Don't get them secondhand, are you crazy?
Those are the best kind!
No!
Yeah, one of my friends in high school got a Ouija board secondhand from Value Village, used it, and then, like, talked to this malevolent spirit, and shit started moving around in her apartment, and she had to fucking bury it. She put it in a kiddie pool full of water, because water is cleansing, and put a rock on it, and left it in, like, her backyard for months, and it didn't, like, decay or anything. Like, it didn't, like, you think the water would, like...
Because it's, like, cardboard.
Yeah.
So, oh.
Didn't fucking happen. So then her friend was like, oh, you got a Ouija board? I'll take it, which is... burn that shit. And then she gave her the Ouija board, and the girl hung it in her house.
Hung it?
Yeah, like on the wall.
Like
as,
a
like
decoration.
as decoration, and shit started moving around her house. And that girl, this is a really long story. And that girl was like a self-proclaimed like animal rescue in her house. So she had like 4 ferrets and like a whole bunch of rats and cats and like dogs and stuff. And apparently, it's you.
It's me.
and apparently when she hung the Ouija board, shit would start moving around and her animals would get super fucking nervous in the living room and they wouldn't want to go in.
Yeah, they're very sensitive.
Yeah. So don't fuck with... Listen here.
Listen here, kids.
Listen here, listeners. If any of you touch a Ouija board, if you contact a spirit, you don't take this shit seriously, I'm gonna come to your house and I'm gonna exorcise your ass. And you know what happens? You know what happens when you don't pay your exorcist? You get repossessed.
That was like the build up to the best pun ever. That was amazing. Alright, go.
Take Halloween very seriously.
You're very serious. Actually, when you said I'm gonna exercise you, I thought you meant just like make them run up hills and do squats. I was
do
like,
that
that's
too.
terrifying.
Alright.
Alright.
So the first one is The Candyman.
No, fuck that.
That movie scared me as a child.
Oh, there's a movie?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
weird.
called The
Bees.
Candyman.
Bees.
Oh.
It's this really tall, skinny black guy in like a fur coat. And he's got his hand cut off to like a blaze up with a hook stuck in it.
Bees. And there's
So-
bees everywhere for some reason.
I love
Because
bees.
he's sweet, so they stick to him.
Oh,
He's the
that makes sense. Okay. The legend here goes that the Candyman can be summoned if you say his name 5 times while looking into a mirror at midnight. If it works, a pair of red, glowing eyes will appear in the mirror, and you'll have mere seconds to turn on the lights and run to the brightest spot in your house. If you don't, Senor Candyman will kill you with the terrifying hook hand. I guess the Candyman doesn't like to share his lollipops.
Okay, you were just like talking, and then you're like, Senor Candyman. I'm like,
That's how they wrote it.
You know what? We should watch Candyman on Halloween.
yeah.
Okay.
Because like it's actually a really good movie, but it did scare the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Just like Senor Candyman sounds like a lucha libre wrestler.
Senor
That would be
Candyman.
that would be my wrestling name,
Senor
and I would just be
Candyman.
covered in like syrup, and then you could stick cotton candy to me, and I'd be slippery and sticky at the same time.
Slippery. I just like how you did it.
Slippery. So they try to grab me, and I just go. Senor Candyman.
Senor Candyman.
The next one is The Three Kings. Three Kings is a creepy children's game involving mirrors, chairs, and a whole...
Terrifying.
Mirrors are scary.
They are.
And a whole lot of bravery. Beginning at precisely 3:30 a.m., 3 chairs are arranged in a semicircle and players take their seats in the center chair, which is, I guess, their throne. Players must focus on the darkness in front of them. A lit candle makes moving shadows, and a fan creates white noise. Players may ask spirits whatever questions they have, and a response will come from one of the mirrors. One contains the queen spirit and the other contains the fool, so you may not believe and trust the information you receive. During this game, the player's brain takes the moving shadows and the white noise and creates hallucinations. Some say this is a way to communicate with spirits, and others believe it's a way of talking to your subconscious. Either way, don't try this on magic mushrooms. It's just not worth the hours of therapy.
Okay. You sound like you're talking from experience.
Yeah, right?
No, I don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Hashtag straight edge.
Don't look behind you. Like Voldemort and Fight Club, this game must not be talked about, so already breaking rule number one right here.
You killed us.
Yep. Unless the speaker is extending the invitation to play it. It's basically, what's the time, Mr. Wolf with a spirit.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
And is played in complete darkness, alone or with a brave group.
No, that sounds like a terrible idea.
First of all, I was never good at What Time Is It, Mr. Wolf? Because I was fat and slow when I was a kid. And we used to play it during swimming lessons as, like, our treat after doing swimming lessons. And I could never swim away fast enough.
Aww.
So I don't like that game. I was also really bad at tag and anything that included running.
I really liked playing Manhunt as a kid.
What the fuck is that?
One person, like when you start the game, one person is it, and then they chase people, but if you tag them, they also become it. And eventually, you have a whole group of people trying to get one person. And let me tell you, it is nerve-wracking to be that one last person and have a whole group of children coming at you trying to...
I'm imagining you played this, like, last week with, like, 6-year-olds and just cried.
Me and my cousins used to play a version of that game, but we called it bat tag, so we had baseball bats. And we would, like, tag each other with the baseball bats. Some people were a little more rough than others, so you would just have, like, a group of children holding baseball bats coming after you.
That's amazing. I want to play that game.
Okay,
anyway.
Continue.
Facing the wall, players say, I want to play a game. I will count to whatever their number is before I turn around. When I turn around, you must freeze. You may only move when I am not looking. The game ends when the light comes on or when you touch my right shoulder, which is really scary. So, like, you're facing a wall, you can't see what's behind you, and something just, like, boop, touches you. No thank you. Players are allowed to conceal a flashlight in their on themselves and can lay marbles or chips on the ground to warn them if the spirit is approaching.
I just imagine, like, some lone kid doing this, like, in his room, and he just, like a bunch of chips on the ground, and his mom comes in, like, honey, what you doing? I'm playing a game, Mom! And it's like, crunch, 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 crunch. Yeah.
Just potato chips all over the floor.
Right?
Supposedly, spirits view these types of games as a way to secure a host, so paranormal enthusiasts say not to take them lightly.
Duh.
So the next one is Baby Blue. The Legend of Baby Blue concerns a story about a strange game that kids play. It causes an evil, ghostly infant to appear in your arms. This legend is related to the myth of Bloody Mary.
Oh, okay.
To play Blue Baby Blue, you have to go into the bathroom on your own, turn off the lights, and lock the door. When you stare into the mirror, hold your arms like you are rocking a baby and repeat the words, Baby Blue, 13 times without making a mistake. If you do it right, you will suddenly feel the weight of an invisible baby in your arms. The baby will get heavier and heavier as it grows larger and larger. You will feel it scratching your arms.
No, I just don't like holding regular babies. Why do I want to hold a demonic ghost baby?
Before it gets too heavy, you have to quickly take the invisible baby, flush it down the toilet, and run out of the bathroom. If you don't do it as fast enough, a hideous woman will appear in the mirror. She will yell, "Give me back my baby!" and scream loud enough to break the glass. If you are still holding the baby, she will kill you. Some people believe this woman is Bloody Mary, and she murdered her own child when she shattered a mirror and used a piece of broken glass to stab it to death.
Yeah, okay.
Alright,
Sounds legit.
Flush a demon baby down a toilet.
Mary has no chill.
No, she doesn't.
And I have one more, and this one was funny. I really like this one.
All
It's called Sweet Tooth. They love this one.
Oh my god, you're giddy.
Right?
Sweet Tooth is a scary game to play at sleepovers. It originated in Russia, where it is popular with kids and teenagers, and it is known as Sweet Tooth Gnome.
Oh, I see why you like it so much.
Sweet Tooth Gnome.
So it's you.
It's you.
We're summoning you.
Yeah.
Just
I have arrived!
I am also wearing...
I have a rash!
It's all over.
I am also wearing my gnome socks today.
Nice.
This ritual involves summoning a gnome that will eat your chocolate.
You just like...
You need at least 2 2 people to play this game. The more people you have, the better. The game must be played in complete darkness, and it should only be done at night. After midnight and before dawn.
Why?
During the ritual.
Marriage is what brings us here together.
I saw
today.
a girl in my drawing class has this t-shirt she literally wears every day. And it's an iguana wearing a tie holding flowers and it says, legalize marriage iguana. And I'm like...
I love her.
She wears it every single day.
Yeah, she's great.
Oh my god. I want that t-shirt.
And it's just this iguana with like a tie and like flowers being like, "Mwah.
I want that.
Legalize marriage iguana."
Steal it off her body and give it to me.
I feel like she's gonna be cold.
Just like push her down like, it's not now!
Okay. Very off topic. During the ritual, you have to be very quiet. Do not laugh or speak louder than a whisper. To play the game, you need the following: a bar of chocolate, a mirror, thread or thin string, and a pair of scissors. Step 1. Take the mirror and place it on the floor directly underneath the light of the ceiling. The mirror should be facing upwards. Tie a long thread around the bar of chocolate and suspend it from the light above, so that it is hanging above the mirror, but not touching it. Everyone sits in a circle around the mirror. Every person in the room must play the game. If someone doesn't want to play the game, they have to leave.
Cool.
One person holds out the scissors and prepares to cut the thread, but do not cut the thread yet. Just get ready to do it. One person gets up to switch off the lights, then has to run really quickly back to the circle. The person with the scissors cuts the thread, and you will hear the chocolate bar fall into the mirror. Everyone should then chant, sweet tooth, please come, 3 times.
That's how I'm just gonna, like, when I, like, anytime I phone you,
Sweet
tooth,
please come.
Everyone must remain silent and wait. Soon you will hear rustling noises. It is the sound of the gnome unwrapping the chocolate bar. Wait until the rustling stops, and then slowly count to 10. One person gets up and switches on the light. There are several things that may happen. The gnome may eat the chocolate. The gnome may leave bite marks in the chocolate. The gnome may leave presents of more chocolate for you. This ritual is very low risk, but you have to take it very seriously.
Imagine the gnome would just be like,
you'll give me chocolate.
He's wearing a really big coat.
really big puffy coat.
Dregs.
They're just coming and just like
throwing the chocolate out of his pockets.
Just him being like, these Russian kids. Oh, they keep me busy.
If you don't obey all of the rules, the gnome could bite you or escape from the mirror into our world. If the gnome escapes, it says it will hide in your house and bite your toes while you sleep.
I love this so much.
That was really good.
That was my favorite one. But, like, I don't think, like, obviously a gnome doesn't come out of the mirror.
Yeah.
But, so what I think is happening is just, like, you have a group of people, and while everybody has their eyes closed, someone's just like, I'm gonna eat this chocolate!
This is one person just like, okay guys, put all your chocolate in the pile. I'm like, alright, now close all your eyes. Oh god, it was a gnome!
Shoving their
Like, it's obviously one of the kids in the group eating the chocolate,
Right.
but, like, that's so fun, it's a gnome!
That's like a really wholesome, scary
Right?
game to play.
Can we... There's gonna be a lot of us on Halloween. Can we play this chocolate gnome game?
Yeah,
Yeah.
before.
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
Yes.
Okay,
All
Kaylee.
right.
Alright.
Bring it home, girl.
Alright, it's gonna get real fucking dark.
Here we go.
Alright, I did not bring a story from the internet or from the weird corners of the world. This comes straight from my...
Your noggin.
Yeah, it comes straight from this thing right here on my neck. And, so the other night, so, backstory, I have very, very vivid, violent, terrifying dreams. Like,
It's very scary.
Yeah.
it's nobody. Like, I have a painting in my studio because the last dream I had that affected me this much, I had to paint to get to, like, calm down.
That one too.
That one.
She actually has multiple
That
paintings
one?
of her horrifying dreams.
I drew it in my sketchbook because, like, I couldn't, I literally woke up and I had to draw it because it fucking freaked me out so bad. So this dream, so it's me and this man. I don't even know who this man was, kind of thing. It was just, like, one of those, like, you know, people that I saw and I guess was in my brain. And he's on the floor sobbing, holding his son, who is, like, violently, horrifically mutilated. and he's just holding this kid crying, and I'm standing here watching him, and there's like this entity right here on the right side of my face screaming in my ear, look at me. And I have my,
He's screaming, look at you?
no, look at me.
Oh.
Like, he's, like, telling me to look at him. But he's, like, got this really deep, gravelly voice, and he's just screaming, look at me. And, like, my eyes, I have them, like, screwed shut kind of thing, because I don't want to look at him. And I, like, it's like, this went on. I mean, you know, dreams are only, 10, 30 seconds long? It felt like it went on for hours of him just screaming in my ear, look at me. And, like, this guy's just, like, this random man is just on the floor holding, like, his child, like, he's, like, sobbing, and, like, this kid is just, like, blood everywhere, and he's just, like, this thing is just screaming in my ear, look at me, and I'm just, like, no, and, like, I swear I could, like, it was so real, and, like, I woke up, and I was just, like, what the fuck, like, it's right up there with the we take what we want.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was terrifying, and, like, I could kind of picture what this thing looked like, which is why I was able to draw it, and, like, it's just, like, it was just this weird, shadowy, but it was, like, shiny, like, it was almost like vinyl.
Oh.
But, like, its, like, mouth, it was just, like, dripping, it had, like, huge teeth, and it was just and it was, like, dripping with saliva and mucus and blood, and it was just screaming at me to look at it, and, like, I was terrified, and I started, like, crying in my dream, because this was literally going on for hours in my dream. I don't know how long I stood there in this dream, and then that's happening, and then, it was...
Oh my god!
Woo! Yeah. It was absolutely terrifying. I woke up shaking. So...
I haven't had a nightmare since I was, like, a little tiny child, so I don't know how you deal with, like, these
I don't know,
nightmares,
the fact that they're a reoccurring thing. Like, they happen, like, that and that and that, and... Because it's terrifying! That is what I'm looking at in my dreams! Like, they're terrifying. I have terrifying dreams. So now y'all know that I suffer from terrifying nightmares. I don't even know why.
It's just the chemicals in your brain, man.
They fucked up.
Terrifying nightmares and...
Yeah.
Horrible back pain. I feel for you, girl.
I had a nightmare last night, but it was just Colton cheated on me.
I woke up the other night really mad at my sister's boyfriend because he took all the wheels off my car.
That's hilarious. Alright, so...
Oh my god.
Well, which...
Happy Halloween.
Which weirdo wins?
Oh, fuck.
I'm gonna say this one.
Yeah.
Right there.
Cedars Wendigo.
Yeah.
I finally won something.
It's
It's only been 6 episodes. I think this is the 6 if we include the lost episode.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, I have an update. So in the last episode, I talked about the Setagaya murders. And I listened to a couple podcasts about them because they're super interesting. And I learned, for those of you, just Google it. It's on Wikipedia. There's a basic outline. But the house was never demolished, but the whole neighborhood around it was demolished. And to this day, I think it's like almost 20 years later since the murders, there's a cop stationed at that house because it's still considered an open crime scene, and there's a blue fence around it. And the house has been sealed.
That's creepy.
And it's in the middle of a fucking park. They turned the neighborhood into a park, so there's just a creepy house with a cop that's like sitting in his car in front of the house being like, family was slaughtered. Been doing this for 20 years.
Honestly, that's my ideal job, is where I sit and get paid.
Right?
Be a security guard.
But
you're so mean, though. You do it.
That's the thing, though, is that I'm not intimidating enough. Like, I'd be a security guard standing in front of, like, a old abandoned building, making sure kids don't run in. They just, like, push me over. They just
hold you by the forehead and you're like,
let me at him! Let me at him!
Yeah.
He's have tiny arms!
My tiny arms and my tiny legs! Alright.
Okay, well, have a very safe and spooky Halloween.
Or have a horrible Christmas.
Yeah. Or have a terrible Christmas. I mean, if your family gets drunk on Christmas and fights, that's what all families do, and you're normal.
That's not what my family does.
I'm trying to make them feel better.
Oh,
They're
okay.
terrible families.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Sorry. And if you're broke and if you can't afford gifts, send them a link to this podcast, because
we are a gift. We
Yeah.
are a gift.
And let's end it with, what is it? Wheel of mucus. Happy Halloween, guys.
Bye.
Bye.